So what this panel is about is, hopefully, y'all like anime. I'm assuming, given you're at an anime con, that you like anime, but, and when you like something, oftentimes you want to share it with other people. You want to see what kind of things you want the people you like the things you like, I think is what I'm trying to say. And what's not to love about anime? Anime is amazing for so many reasons. There are so many things, like for example, there are a lot of things you can do with animation that would be really impractical or expensive to do live action. And I know everyone's going to say, yeah, well, every Marvel movie is technically 90% animation. Yeah, whatever. Anime, although this is kind of going by the wayside, but anime traditionally tends to have be a lot more of a creative medium. There are a lot more interesting premises explored. Who's heard of a show called Moyashiman? A show about a college kid who has the power to talk to microorganisms that are all represented as these adorable little chibi bugs, and they're so cute. And this is something we're going to touch more on later, but anime is just has such a wide variety that if your friend likes a thing, chances are there's an anime that's kind of like that thing. And then of course, after you're done watching a show, you're not done, because most shows are going to have more material, spin-off mangas, new series, light novels, and maybe 3% of it will get translated into English, so maybe you'll be lucky. And of course, y'all, because anime fans are the best people in the entire universe. So why isn't everyone in the universe an anime fan? I think every one of us has heard one of these things from somebody at one time. And anime doesn't have the best reputation right now, as you'll see in this 5-year-old college humor video.
His name's Totoro. He's real. I'll show you.
Your reign of terror ends here, Catbot.
Oh, impossible. Can't be.
I have no friends at school. I wish you were a human, Ponyo.
Ponyo will be a human. Ponyo loves Sasuke.
So much war! When will mankind tire of all this endless fighting?
We'll show them with more fighting! Moving castle, go!
I just wish I could go home.
Don't give up yet, Chihiro. You still have the True Prism Bleeding Crystal Wisdom Gem Hope.
Magical princess, volcano that!
Behold, the spirit of the forest, the immortal guardian of the living world. Oh, majestic boar god.
So yeah, anime is a little weird, and for those of us who have been steeped in the world of anime for so long, that sometimes we kind of forget that to some people this stuff is kind of weird.
I mean, this is some of the stuff we're going to talk about. Like, imagine your parents walking in on you when you're watching Food Wars. How do you explain that's a show about cooking?
But some things you can pretty easily refute, like when people say that every anime looks the same. I mean, art styles are pretty darn varied.
You have so many many different art styles out there, whether you're talking 2D or 3D CGI nowadays. You have the hyper cartoony stuff like Panty and Stocking or Tekken King Creed, and then you have the super realistic stuff like Monster, or even, I think it was Aku no Hana was the one that was rotoscoped a couple years back. So if your friend says they don't like the stereotypical anime art style, maybe show them something that looks a little bit different.
But let's address the elephant in the room. While anime does not have the best reputation, anime fans have a much, much worse reputation.
It's called hentai and it's art.
So I don't want to like get too shamey on y'all, but I think what I'm trying to say is just please don't be this guy. And because we're equal opportunity here, also do not be this girl.
There are some elements of fandom that while it's good sharing that stuff with your close friends is pretty rad, sharing that stuff with strangers is not a good idea. Cough, cough, body pillows.
So don't mention your waifus. Don't even use the word waifu. For that matter, don't use any fandom Japanese.
That's not very Segoy of you. I'm sorry, I can see you cringing right there, and I'm sorry. That was me.
Talk right, or I'm going to hit you with this board. Don't talk about your hentai collection. There's nothing I find cringier than seeing like a nerd fall into like the trap of trying to explain to a normal person the difference between hentai and anime, because just the fact that hentai exists is enough to creep a lot of people out.
I mean, let me tell you something that may surprise some of you. There are people out there who do not like pornography. So like, please do not go there.
And like this definitely goes for the girls too. We had one con where there was a girl who had a Loki body pillow, fully nude.
It was just like running around.
And it was like, running around and all at 2 in the afternoon on Saturday, showing it to everyone in the entire convention.
Do not do that. But let's talk about
also have a more realistic mental image of Japan. I know a lot of y'all probably know, but Japan's not geek Disneyland. People don't go to work in cosplay, even in Akihabara usually. There are a lot of stories about anime fans moving to Japan and expecting like cat girls everywhere, and then being sorely disappointed. Japan is actually kind of uptight.
Now, the word otaku is kind of getting like reclaimed over the past few years, mainly because a lot of the producers who work in anime are kind of elevated fanboys, and so they're like, I'm gonna make a show about an otaku who becomes king of space.
But yeah, the literal translation is someone else's house, because it would be such a shame to have an otaku in your house. So, right or wrong, if you're the only anime fan your friend knows, they're gonna judge every single anime fan by you. So, unfortunately, sometimes you need to chill out a bit. Get them into it slowly, and then once they're hooked, you can drop a High School DxD on them.
Yes, you don't start with High School DxD.
Now we've come up with some criteria of anime that are good for people who aren't really into anime, starting with the dub. Yes, I know the dub, we all hate dubs, but here's the thing, no matter how you personally feel about dubs, the simple fact is that dubbed anime outsells undubbed anime almost 4-1.
And in 95% of people's cases, the first show you ever watched, you probably watched it dubbed.
And I know me personally, I'm going blind and having trouble reading, but that being said, bad dubs do exist.
What? Bad dubs?
And even if a show is good, watching it with a really particularly bad dub can really torpedo it. So even though it is a fantastic show, you probably don't want to start your friend off with the dub of Higurashi When They Cry.
When They Cry is one of the best horror anime of all time. It's an absolute classic.
And the dub was so terrible, it ended up being the last nail in Jenny-Yeon's coffin.
Well, this was near the end of Jenny-Yeon's lifespan, where they had like 3 actors and often had to reuse them during the same show, as we will see.
Funimation picked it up. It didn't sell well. They said they are never going to license it.
And then Sentai
licensed it, but they didn't redub it. I would have been so happy if they'd redubbed it. If this is, like we said, around the time when Jenny-Yeon was going bankrupt. They didn't have a lot of money to pay things like actors. So the guy who plays the boy in this clip you're about to see, he's got more credits now, but at this time, his only other credits had been hentai. I mean, he's a serious voice actor now. He played like Lancer in Fate Zero, and then if you pay close attention, you may notice that the little purple-haired girl and the little blonde-haired girl have the same voice actress.
Keiichi, what do you expect is going to happen now that you've told all this personal stuff to us?
I'm not expecting a thing.
Is there something wrong with not telling your friends everything? I think it's safe to say we all have things in our past that we'd like to keep to ourselves.
Yeah, but...
Keiichi, there's a really big difference between things you should tell people about yourself and things that are just personal. Yeah, that's right. And on top of that, if you know for a fact that you're a good person now, then you've got nothing to be ashamed of. We have a good friendship. We always laugh and have fun together. Nothing is ever going to change that. Hey, Keiichi, what's wrong?
I don't believe it. What have I done to them? I killed them. They're dead. Renamio, they're dead.
What are you talking about? Keiichi, I'm fine. I'm right here. Is something wrong with him?
So once you get them more into anime, you can show them this show subtitled, but until then, show them a good dub. And yes, good dubs exist, such as the dub of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, starring Mary Elizabeth McGlynn and Steve Bloom and
Bob Papenbrook,
Bryce Papenbrook's dad.
But let's show it.
Dread to Somerset. Sleeping gas devices now attached to outer walls and air conditioning unit on roof.
Arrival. Set it for 0200 hours.
You people are cops. There's no hope for justice in our system now.
Straighten up your own act before whining about the world. Or if that's too much, wear a blindfold, zip your mouth, and live in a cave. Or the alternative.
Major. Assemble the team with an A2 loadout. Location 82D3.
Bato, you copy that?
Okay, now let's talk about something else that can be a little intimidating for newer people, which is length.
And we all know that length can be intimidating sometimes.
That was bad. But, if someone's never watched an anime before, you probably don't want to start them off with something like One Piece or Detective Conan, because you're going to have to tell them that, you're going to need to sit here for the next 6 days without eating, sleeping, or peeing, and then you'll be halfway through the show.
So once again, even though it's a fantastic show that everyone should watch, someone's first anime probably shouldn't be Monster. Monster is a show about a Japanese doctor working in Japan. One day he has to choose between saving the life of a young boy or saving the life of a politician, and he chooses the young boy, which ends up costing him pretty much his entire career.
And then years later, he finds out that the young boy he saved grew up to be a terrifying sociopath and decides to hunt him down in order to quote-unquote fix his greatest mistake.
This is a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. However, it is 25 hours long when it comes down to it. So instead, start your friend off with something a little more bite-sized. Give him an appetizer. Give him something like Kino's Journey.
The original one.
The original one. No, there was not a remake of this.
Let's show the clip and then talk about the premise.
Destination is a state of mind. Kino is a traveler, a drifter. A slight and dark figure perched atop an internal combustion companion and learning the whims of mankind, one sin at a time. Kino is a witness. A dry and focused, all-beholding eye, calmly soaking in a myriad of decisions, interpretations, and the actions based upon them. Kino is a survivor, a wielder of cutlery, firepower, and a piercing tongue. A connoisseur of silence and a harbinger of luck. And a smooth master of knowing when to disappear. Kino was alone. Drift along for the ride.
So Kino's Journey is, first off, it's episodic. So you don't have to necessarily watch the episodes in order apart from one 2-part episode.
Now, it's set in a world made up of thousands of micronations, each of which have decided that they know exactly how to fix everyone's problems. And then Kino goes there and finds out why that solution is a total mistake.
They made a remake of it. But
there's like one country where they're like, we should ban all books. So if you like kind of philosophical discussions and stuff like that, this is a very cool series to watch.
Now, it may be difficult for us as Americans to realize, but when most anime are created, they are created with a Japanese audience in mind. Occasionally you'll get references to cultural things like Golden Week and cultural festivals and sports festivals. And
this is incredibly difficult when it comes to good comedy anime as well, because there are certain shows like Gintama or Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei where like all of the jokes are references to things that only 30-year-old Japanese people would have heard of.
So even though it's a fantastic show and a classic, you probably don't want to start someone off with Azumanga Daioh.
It's also got kind of a questionable dub.
Azumanga Daioh, I like the dub of Azumanga Daioh.
Okay, that's fair.
Azumanga, the guy who plays Kira is fantastic.
Yes, Andy
Okay, but where was I? The thing about Azumanga Daioh, when it came out in the UK, where kids from, they had to include like a little booklet of all the cultural references, so you would know exactly why like Choma was randomly kicking her shoe up into the air.
And be like, oh, that's what that means.
For example.
This new addition to our force hails from Osaka. And it was no small trick getting her. An Osakan gal, huh? All I can think of is...
You making any money? It's coming along.
She'll be my new arch rival! Osaka! Osaka! Hey, Osaka! Japanese pizza meals, do they really exist? Osaka? Oh yeah. Kansai people are totally whack. Eating a full bowl of rice with their Japanese pizza? Do you do that too, Osaka?
If y'all weren't anime nerds, would y'all have understood any of that?
Like, what's a kansai?
For those of you who are curious, though, a Japanese pizza meal, an okonomiyaki, I finally had one of these and it's freaking delicious. It literally translates to fried everything.
And I do want to point out, the girl's name is isn't actually Osaka. That's just the area where she's from. So the fact that everyone calls her Osaka is basically like if your coworkers started being like, "Hey, Tex, how are you doing today?" And that was all they ever called you. But to avoid this kind of confusion,
try a show called Spice and Wolf. Spice and Wolf is set in basically Europe, a much, much more familiar setting.
it's the setting of every fantasy novel.
I am Holo the Wise Wolf. I was born in a land from the far north. It is a world of silver where everything sparkles. A long time ago, a young man from this village approached me. He asked me to help their wheat to ripen well. Now it appears no one needs me any longer. I wish to return to the north. You are a traveling peddler, are you not?
Yes.
Take me with you then.
It's not like this is an easy business.
I am not the sort who would insist upon living off the charity of others.
The road to the north could be dangerous.
Ahead of us, we need to run.
Who knows? You could bring me good fortune.
I believe you are adorable. I shall not go home till I pay off my debt.
You've got a deal.
Can I just say, these would also be really good first light novels for people, because they're
true.
They're very simple, very well written fantasy stories.
Although when the Spice and Wolf life novels first came over to the US, they replaced the anime covers with photos of a live-action white girl wearing like furry ears.
They thought it would like appeal more to a mainstream audience, and it's interesting. But then speaking of naked women,
let's talk about fan service.
Fan service can refer to anything done to appeal to fans, like Stan Lee cameos. But when it comes to anime fan service, we're talking about TNA.
Yeah, usually it's panties, it's jiggles, it's butt shots.
And it's thrown into a lot of shows, cough cough, Food Wars.
So you probably don't want to start your friend off with a show called Elfen Lied. Elfen Lied stars an awful lot of naked girls who dismember the shit out of each other.
Also animal cruelty.
That being said, here is a clip of the 4Kids dub of Elfen Lied. It's not me. So yeah, Kid made that.
It's kind of janky by our current standards.
But jankiness is part of the charm. It's perfect.
Back when I was very bad at Sony Vegas.
That was so good. I probably wouldn't be able to do that.
Yes, you can. You can do anything you put your heart into.
For something a little bit more PG-13, watch a show, any of B-Train's Girls with Guns series. The one I picked is the second one, Noir, which was one of my first anime. Noir is about people shooting each other. There is not a drop of blood to be seen. Very, very minimal fan service, and it's a great story. And I think I'm ripping off Funimation's trailer yet again here. Yeah, I know.
The thread that binds you and I is the color black. Blacker than pitch. Blacker than night. Blacker than the darkness itself. In the end, a lie is always a lie. I thought I knew that from the beginning. All I have is a lie.
Noir is very, very underrated. But now
Also, I finally had the ending of Noir explained to me, and it makes sense now.
Well, it's a crack theory.
I don't think it's a crack theory. I think that's how, never mind.
Okay, let's go into more specific recommendations for specific types of people.
So, if someone says, "Oh, anime is just stupid and it's all this thing," and they think of anime as basically like it was in the College Humor video.
It's all robots.
We forgot to mention this, but that College Humor video pissed off so many people that they did a sequel called The Adventures of Butthurt Anime Fan.
And it's got the two kids from Fooly Cooley being like, "What are some good anime to watch?" And then this guy starts just screaming about Gundam until his hair turns yellow.
Yeah, this guy. You have Fat Goku and acne-covered Rock Lee.
And they're arguing over like which Gundams are the best, and I'm just like, okay, Universal Century is hot garbage.
I watched a few episodes of Avatar and really liked it. You suck. Avatar's not really an anime, and that's the first time they agree on the entire show. But so this is like what we talked about. If your friend likes a certain thing, look for an anime that sort of piggybacks off the things they like. Are you ready, kid?
Yes. Misquoting Excel Saga is my favorite thing to do in panels.
So if your friend's a fan of The Walking Dead, or Stephen King back when he was still good, or just vampires like in general, introduce them to a show called Cheeky, which is one of the most underrated horror anime out there, I think, and possibly one of the best vampire stories I've seen.
It's absolutely fantastic. It has a great dub, and we need to...
It has a great dub, a great twist, and we ripped off Funimation's trailer yet again.
Do you want me to just like spend this weekend in my apartment making clips?
I have no clue why they died.
I kind of wish this anime wasn't so dark. So yeah, that show is 8 years old now.
Yeah. The main character of the show is played by the same guy who plays Victor in Yuri on Ice. If that can assist you to watch it. He doesn't talk in a Russian accent in this one though.
Okay.
So if your friend likes the old-timey gangster era
high-octane goofy antics, or if they like Quentin Tarantino movies, they will probably love a show called Baccano. Baccano is a show set during the Depression era, and everyone is Deadpool, and it's amazing.
Baccano, the complete series. You've heard the hubbub. Now it's easier than ever to see what's what with this one-of-a-kind anime.
Okay, describing it as 13 Deadpools all trying to kill each other is actually pretty darn accurate.
Yes, but they're gangster Deadpools too. So they also do like some of the Funimation voice actors do amazing New York accents.
Some of them do not so amazing New York accents.
No, other ones do amazingly good accents. Do you need me to fix the HDMI? Nope, that flashed and came back. We need you, computer Jesus. Nope.
It's doing that thing.
All right, I know the next show we are going to talk about once we get the HDMI to work. Okay, there it is. Please. Okay. Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Annie, I'm gonna have to stand like 5 feet away from my microphone like this. Wait, not that one.
Not this one?
Not that one yet. Go down to one of the new clips. Is there a clip there? Yes, there is. Okay, to the right, yes. So, if your friend likes dark true crime dramas like Hannibal or Mindhunter, or deeply philosophical science fiction
of dystopian futures,
or obscure literary references that no one will get, your friend needs to watch a show called Psychopaths.
This, I think, is the newest show we have in this panel. This is about a future Japan in which you are constantly being monitored by an omniscient supercomputer. And if it thinks you have become too unstable, it will send the police to your house to arrest you or explode you. This is a very good show, and they never made a second season of it, ever.
They would normally be completely isolated as latent criminals, but we allow them into the outside world for a single purpose: to flush out and hunt down criminals just like themselves. They're nothing more than hunting dogs. The best way to track a beast is with a beast. We call them enforcers. Each one of them is your subordinate.
Let me tell you, all the time I've spent on this job, I have yet to encounter a single reasonable thing.
Hold on! What are you planning to do now?
I'm going to stand next to this woman named Yuki Funahara, and I'm going to kill her.
This is the criminal.
Stop. Is this Funimation's actual trailer?
Yes.
Really?
The dubstep strobe lights, I think we need to stop partway through. But yes, like
Funimation, are you hiring? Someone must really, really like dubstep.
And Twitch effects. Okay, do you want to talk about that next show next, actually?
Jesus Christ!
No, that's the next one. Let's do that next one.
No.
Okay.
Let's go back to the series. Yep.
All right, if your friend likes world-spanning blockbusters like The Avengers, massive conspiracy stories like the newer James Bonds,
watch a show called Eden of the East. We don't have time for this clip, but this guy and this girl end up how do I put this? I mean, I wrote everything up there, and I don't want to just read the slide.
It's kind of a massive conspiracy puzzle game that really you need to watch it yourself in order to get the full impact.
That's the same thing about it.
It's one of those shows where after the last episode, there are 2 movies that you need to buy in order to learn how it actually ends.
I remember what I wanted to say. He finds out that he's also one of 13 people who have these magical infinite money phones. And those people are a wide range of interesting folks. So no, we don't have time for that clip, sorry. So if your friend likes Game of Thrones or revolutionary political drama like Les Miserables, they probably really like Game of Thrones the anime.
Or if they just really like pizza.
Plots, backstabbing, plots, and giant robots. And I think we actually have a clip for this one. We didn't just rip off the...
We did.
How should a Britannian who detests his own country live his life?
Are you some kind of radical?
What's wrong? Why not shoot? Your opponent is just a schoolboy. Or have you finally realized the only ones who should kill are those who are prepared to be killed?
What's happening here?
I, Lelouch V. Britannia, command you. Now all of you, die.
Happily, Your Highness! Fire!
That was the turning point. Since that day, I've lived a lie. The lie of living. My name, too, was a lie. My personal history, a lie. Nothing but lies. I was sick to death of a world that couldn't be changed. But even in my lies, I refused to give up in despair. But now this incredible power, it's mine. Well then.
Now, are they doing a remake or a sequel to this?
It's complicated. It's kind
It's
of
a
a
requel?
sequel.
It's a requel?
It's spoilers is what it is.
It's spoilers is what it is.
Let's go kind of dark and gritty for a second. If
your
your friend likes old school rough and tumble action movies like Die Hard,
Or just extraordinarily violent women, they might like a show called Black Lagoon. This show is not one that you want to watch with your parents, probably.
mostly for language though.
There's a YouTube video that exists of the dub of this that is just every instance of the F word, and the video is 5 minutes long.
That said, we do have a really cool trailer.
Yeah, we didn't rip off Funimation's trailer, we ripped off Toonami's trailer.
Since the 1990s, half the world's reported piracy has occurred in the South China Seas.
The package you got from the Asahi Industry headquarters in Tokyo. This is it, right?
Yeah. Rokuro Okajima didn't know that when his company sent him there. Unfortunately, that's going to cost him.
Why don't I do you a favor and show you what color your brain is?
Because the only thing worse than being a hostage of the Black Lagoon Trading Company
Go, Rock! Heads up!
is being a member.
Wake up, sailor! We have a job!
Now, the pirate life beckons, and the ocean is his for the taking. If he can keep his new co-workers from getting him killed. Because Rock, he's about to learn that life on the Black Lagoon,
What now?
can be one hell of a ride.
We kill it all!
When it comes to killing, she doesn't mess around.
Batten down the hatches, lock and load, and get ready to lay it all on the line.
Let's finish this job.
Black Lagoon, premiering next Saturday at 2 a.m. Take what you can, give nothing back, except bullets. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Now it's time for all of us to go shot for shot.
I think it's now been like 3 years since that was on Toonami.
It's been so many years.
If your friend likes Avatar, if your friend likes general kung fu movies, etc., congratulations, they've already really got one foot in the anime fandom, and they might like a show called Moribito. This one might be
the most obscure one on this list.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to sum up the premise, but I think the trailer does sum it up pretty well.
This is one that came out during the big anime crash in 06, 07, when a lot of really good series fell through the cracks. But let's show you the trailer. The trailer says everything you need to know about it.
But it did have an Adult Swim broadcast.
That is true.
We're told it was a warrior who rescued a member of the royal family from the river today. The rumor going around town is that the warrior carried a spear.
You are known by the name Balsa the Spear Wielder. They say in your circles there are none who haven't heard of you. And through excellent command of your spear, you have saved many lives. Please take this child with you and protect him from the Mikado's assassins for the rest of his life.
Why in the world would the Mikado want to kill the prince?
I believe, in all likelihood, the spirit that possesses him is a water demon.
Yes, I will protect the prince for you.
With His Majesty's
consent, I have sent out a few of our men. Their orders are to bring Prince Chago back.
Chago, run!
No matter what happens, I'm not going to let you die. Translated, Nayunga Road Chaga would come out to mean Guardian of the Spirit. Guardian of the Spirit? That egg hatches and the number of lives that you carry on your shoulders will grow to include the millions who live here. Knowing these lives hang in the balance, do you still insist on protecting the prince? Yes. I'll save him and do what I can for the rest.
Why have you chosen to risk your life in order to earn a living?
All I am is your average bodyguard. Nothing more than that.
I want to cosplay her so bad.
It's a really, really good
Do you know how many like 6 foot tall women there are in anime? Like 3.
That is fair. Okay, so if your friend likes mind-bending movies like Inception or general artsy-fartsy pretentious stuff in general, you have to show them a movie called Paprika. This is a film by the legendary director Satoshi Kon, one of the few he made before his passing about 8 or 9 years ago. It is about a machine that can control people's dreams. Someone steals it and does bad things. And if this sounds like Inception, keep in mind this movie came out 6 years before that.
Wait. 4 years. But also pay close attention because this anime has also one of like the best electronic soundtracks ever. So, and we also ripped off the trailer, but this time I think it's Sony.
1, 2, 3.
In the very near future, a group of brilliant scientists have created a machine that can control our dreams. But now, the device is missing. To solve the mystery and save humanity, she must stop the dream terrorists from altering our minds. From Satoshi Kon, the acclaimed director of Perfect Blue and Tokyo Godfathers, comes a visionary tale that crosses the line between reality and imagination.
Back before it got all shippy and insane,
or just gorgeous scenes of harmony with nature. Another extremely underrated show called Mushishi. Mushi, this is set in
not feudal Japan,
semi-feudal Japan.
Well, it's fantasy feudal.
Fantasy feudal Japan, where there are all of these little invisible creatures called mushi that are kind of like a cross between like ghosts and bacteria, and every episode is sort of like this. This guy, Ginkgo, is one of the few people who can see the mushi, and he will go to a town and say, hey, you have this mushi. Make sure you don't do the thing.
And then he will leave and come back 6 months later, and the town will have been turned into a giant mushroom, and the people say, we did the thing that you told us not to do.
Yeah, I don't think we have time for the trailer.
But let us go one of the ones we needed to add. So, if your friend likes intense, dramatic, magical battles, or series-spanning mysteries involving countless characters and secret motivations, Or maybe they like frank discussion of the brutality of war and imperialism.
This show, Full Metal Alchemist basically breaks all.
It breaks one of the rules. It's just long.
It's really long. The thing about this show also is that it's also very different whether you're watching the original or the Brotherhood reboot.
We'll talk about that later after the trailer.
This is our blood. From her blood. That's a fair trade. It's a soul, really.
Please, help them. Al, is that you?
My brother and I knew the laws of science. But we thought there was nothing more we could lose.
Wasn't that your dream all along? To one day use the stone to get back what you and your brother lost?
A simple rock, which promised to turn war into victory, and death into life.
I didn't teach you alchemy so you could echo my mistakes.
It was a thinking person's dream. Reason conquering all.
It's an impossible task for any ordinary alchemist. I'm no ordinary alchemist.
They're saying there's a champion of the people among the military dogs.
Tell me where he is now!
We won't go peacefully. Then take them out by force.
Thought we could bend the world any way we wanted. You got strong plans.
You'll get up and use them, won't you, Al?
Now, the only strike against this show is, like I said, it's either 51 or 64 episodes long, depending on how you watch it.
Here's the thing about Full Metal Alchemist. There are two Full Metal Alchemists. The original made in 2003, and at the time the manga wasn't finished yet, so Studio Bones pretty much wrote their own fan fiction ending.
It was a pretty dark and twisted ending that is really, really depressing. And then 6 years later, Brotherhood came out, and that's a faithful adaptation of the manga. The problem with Brotherhood is Brotherhood assumed everyone watched the first series, so they kind of swing through like 26 to 30 episodes of backstory and plot and condense it into like the first 5 or 6 episodes of Brotherhood.
So go for it. So I would say the best way to watch this, honestly, is like watch the first, I'd say, dozen or so episodes of the original incarnation, and then go back and watch Brotherhood. So do like a Frankenstein cut. That said, we do have one final recommendation for getting your friends into anime. The example of this, the show that has enchanted a million people into being massive weebs.
If your friend likes jazz music,
if they like classic cinema,
if they like smart sci-fi,
if they like kung fu movies,
if they like 70s blaxploitation films,
if they are capable of feeling joy or any human emotion,
they will probably like Cowboy Bebop. So I'm not going to say anything that hasn't been said about this amazing show. Just get ready to be punched in the face with nostalgia. Just 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
well, you can start showing them, more complicated stuff, stranger stuff.
Find what they liked about the things that you showed them and use that to figure out what you should show them next.
Like
and
if
then
they
show
liked-
them High School DxD.
Well, no, there's a step between. Like, if they like Bakano, show them 91 Days or Durarara.
And the other thing is, reciprocate. If your friend's interested in something that you don't know about, let your friend talk to you about it, even if it's something like sports. I mean, I love hockey. I got a kid into hockey. So, don't turn your nose up at something. What you want to do is,
There is a chance that they may not stick, right?
yeah, no matter what you do, despite your best efforts, your friend can be like, you know what, I watched that show, I watched the first few episodes, I just can't get into it, it's not my thing, I gave it a good college try. And
at that point, you must kill them. For they are weak.
At that point, you just smile and say, okay, not everyone likes the same things, and believe it or not, there is more to life than just anime.
There's also video games!
We are Vitamin H. Thank you very much for coming. This is our last panel of the weekend.
We hope you have had a wonderful Ushicon. It has been such a great time getting to hang out with all of